With us, a former key campaign manager, planner for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm talking, of course, about the former Cleveland mayor, former Ohio Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Kind enough to join us. Congressman, Mayor, always great to have you. How you doing?
Very good. Good to see you.
All
Hello
right.
from Cleveland.
Hello to you. What do you think of this move on the part of RFK Jr. If indeed he does bail out, throws his support behind Donald Trump, whether there's a cabinet position in there, I have no idea. How could this change the race, if it does? Well,
just an important disclaimer here. I left his campaign in October of last year. However, I know full well that the DNC did everything they could to try to block Kennedy from running as a Democrat. They frustrated efforts at ballot access. There were just dozens of ways, Neil, that the DNC tried to exclude him. And they, frankly, of course, they were protecting President Biden, whose campaign headquarters was the same place as the DNC. So let's start with that. Now, where we are right now, it's manifestly clear that the Kennedy campaign is not going to win the presidency. However, it's also clear that should he decide to throw support to one candidate or another, he may make a difference in some battleground states.
Well, if you think about it, look at what Ralph Nader was able to influence in Florida in 2000 to tip it, away from Al Gore at the time, or at least that was the thinking, as you remember, Congressman. And we know how that all worked out. I just wonder, though, it would have to be in battleground states, because nationally it's not going to have a big impact. But looking at the battleground states as you know them, what do you think?
Well, let's look at Michigan. I think we're talking about 15 electoral votes in Michigan. Michigan's going to be close. The Middle East is a campaign issue there. Could Kennedy's support for, let's say, Trump matter and swing a few points in Trump's direction and help Trump take Michigan? It's quite a, it's a possibility. North Carolina, 16 electoral votes. Battleground state, you're looking at a potentially close race there. Could Kennedy's support tip the election towards Trump? Possibly. Let me point out something. What I saw happening at the very beginning of Kennedy's campaign was that the people who were attracted to his campaign seemed to be coming from the Trump Republican camp. And I don't know if that's still consistent today, but if it is, if he suddenly would announce support for Donald Trump in a few states, it could matter. And of course, we know this is not a national election, notwithstanding what the polls say. This is a state-by-state election.
It is interesting, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is persona non grata among Democrats, even the late President John F. Kennedy's grandson, when speaking up to the convention yesterday, never mentioned his cousin. What do you make of all of that ill will? Forget about fellow Democrats, even RFK Jr.'s family.
Well, first of all, when I was part of the campaign, there were people in his family who supported him, and there were, newsworthy reports of people in his family who didn't. In political families, it's not unusual to have people on both sides of an election. However, because he's a Kennedy, if there, the extent to which there is opposition or people saying things that are uncomplimentary, it's getting a lot of publicity. I understand that. But I don't think that has been as telling as some of the other stories that came from left field about the election that got attention. But bottom line is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., while he is not going to win the presidency, very well could, if he throws his support to one candidate or another, we know what their current reports say, could make a difference in some critical states. There's no question about that. So
what cabinet position do you think Donald Trump would consider him for? Because that's the thing that's up for grabs, I guess.
Well, let me just tell you, Neil, that is so far away from my wheelhouse. I can't begin to get into that. I will say that one must be careful in discussing quid pro quos. I think that
Well, Donald Trump made it very
there has to
clear
be-
that he's ready to quid pro quo, right? That he'd look for something.
I know. You're talking to me. Let me tell you, when you're talking about quid pro quos, I
Right.
see a flashing yellow light. So, I can't get into that one. I don't know.
Got it. All right, Congressman, always good catching up with you. Be well.